Hello, and we say a good day to all of you at this moment of your time. We are the Pleiadian Council, and we speak on behalf of our collective consciousness. We come supporting your world in this process. Some of you call evolution, some of you call ascension. It is a gift, it is a blessing for us to be able to connect with you, for you offer us reflections that support us in connecting deeper with the source. In the same way we intend to help you connect to the source of all that is, that you can know as the very core of your being, the fabric of reality, as unconditional love. So, yes, it's exciting for us to be here. All of you can connect with your own guides, your own allies, however you wish to call them. You are all multidimensional beings, and at a soul level, you are connected with what you might have called past or future lifetimes. Not all of these lifetimes come from your own planet, and we are beings that come from somewhere beyond your planet too. You can call us P for short. We do observe your world and all the changes that take place now with great curiosity. And we want you to know that while things may appear as chaotic, there is order within the chaos always. While there sometimes seems to be darkness, existence is made of light too. Your world is one of the balance of light and dark. And this is exactly the way it is supposed to be. We share with you the most important thing that we could share, that is the formula for coming into alignment with the source, the formula for fulfilling your purpose here. And your purpose is nothing other than being who you are. And when you become true to who you are and honor yourself in that way, you will realize that you are a being of light, a being of love. And that will be the energy that emanates from you. The formula is to act on your heart's highest excitement, passion, love, and joy to the best of your ability without insisting on any particular outcome. This means that you live from your heart in all moments and stay attuned to what your heart calls you towards. It means that you come to honor that feeling in your heart. Does your heart lean into this situation? Does your heart open up to the choice that you are about to make? The process of awakening in this way is one of simply honoring what is alive inside of you. Your heart knows if it is a yes or if it is a no. And sometimes this is tricky because you might be very drawn into certain aspects of an experience, but you might be very repelled by other aspects. And so honoring what is truly your excitement also means doing things in the way that it excites you. You might be excited about going on a particular journey, but if you set off with people who have a different method and approach to going on that journey than what is natural to you, and you don't speak for yourself and what you feel, you're not following the formula and you're not honoring your heart's true passion and true excitement. So following your heart's highest excitement is both doing what you're excited about, and it's also about doing it in a way that's exciting for you. Then you do it to the best of your ability. You bring all of your intelligence, all of your resources internally and externally in the form of ideas and insight and those supportive allies who can fill in the gaps for you where you don't necessarily know what to do or have the resources to do it. That's what it means to do it to the best of your ability. It doesn't necessarily mean something in the individualistic way that you've been trained to think of what your best ability is. Sometimes the best of your ability requires that you open up and recognize that you are a drop in the ocean and that others around you come together with you to bring out what is the best in you. Finally, you let go of your insistence on any particular outcome. This is what you mean when you say let go of your attachments. But know that it's not letting go of your expectations entirely. That's a pitfall that some of you fall into. You say, I don't care what happens, but you're lying to yourselves because you do care. You can't not care. You all have needs and desires. So, honoring the fact that you're always creating expectations whenever you set out the door. You expect that the journey you go on will follow a certain way. That's the way the mind works. Yet, having no attachment to the expectations means that when you meet a dead end that you didn't expect to be blocked, that you open yourself to find another pathway. That you trust that you didn't get to the dead end for no reason, and that this dead end is a lesson that's fertile, that's ripe with potential to grow. And meeting the dead end, you find a new way to get where you wanted to go, or you realize that where you thought you were going was not the true destination. And so you turn your focus back inward, start the formula from the beginning, and ask yourself at that dead end, what is my highest excitement? And you'll find if you allow yourself to do this, instead of succumbing to a feeling of stagnation, hopelessness, or confusion when you don't fulfill your expectations, that the lessons you get in the process of seemingly failing lead you to something that is better than what you set out to seek in the first place. This formula is what we begin our meetings with whenever we meet new people, because it's the very most important thing we could share. And we come back to it again and again because it's essentially the only thing you need to know to get where you're going. That's not to say all of the knowledge that you've gained isn't necessary and doesn't help you. But ultimately, simplifying will help you more than anything else, because so much of the wisdom that you seek exists within you already. And you awaken it when you come to trust your own heart and you rewire yourself so that you act upon your heart's interests rather than acting from the conditioned stories that play out in your mind. Doing this allows you to be a beacon of radiance. It allows you to be a being of bliss. Bliss is your true nature. Love is the energy with which Source created this reality. Though this reality is one of free will. And free will is a gift of love. It empowers you to choose. And you choose between love and fear. There's a spectrum of energy between these two poles. And the trick is understanding that even fear is an expression of love. It is in your reality that duality and polarity exist as an illusion that you must play with. In realities beyond, there's no duality, there's no polarity, there's only one. That one is love. So, to go beyond fear, you must first honor it. You cannot go beyond fear by saying it's not there. It's like saying that if you continue to say there's no elephant in the room, that eventually the room will become more spacious. The elephant gets bigger and bigger. The elephant grows. So getting comfortable with what's uncomfortable is actually what gives you the source of strength. Honesty is your greatest power. Because when you are honest with yourself and you know who you are in terms of these polarities and what you're holding, you are able to move that energy, work with it, transform it. And when you are honest, you will see that while your journey is very unique, it is not totally different from anyone else's journey. By being honest, you open the doorway to relating with others. And when you can relate with others, you drop the illusion of separation and you come to experience that you are all drops in the ocean. You are all individuals that are essentially source, pretending to live as individuals. And that's not to say your individuality is not real, but it is to say that, like many things in this reality, that it is a real illusion. And when you come to live in this way, you allow yourself to feel more connected to everyone and everything around you. You allow yourself to experience the beauty and the radiance and the simple things. And as you do this and you live in this way, when your heart stays open because you honor what you're feeling and you choose what you love and you continuously feel more love, and you're honoring that sometimes fear comes up in this process too, and you're accepting of that, things will start to flow more effortlessly. The dams in your river will disappear. You'll see signs continuously that tell you you're on the right path. Metaphors, themes, number patterns, ideas, types of energy, frequencies will recur in patterns that point you towards an inner understanding of what is true for you. That does not mean it is the ultimate truth. That's an idea you have to let go of. The human striving for the concept alone of the ultimate truth is one of your attachments. It's one of your insistences on an outcome that's impossible to attain. Even beings far beyond you in other realms know a fraction of the truth. It is still the truth, but at a certain point, you consume so much truth and you embody so much truth that you recognize you'll never know all of it. And becoming okay with that allows you to find joy in the mystery. And this is one of the reasons why you as humans struggle so much. You fail to find joy and trust in what is mysterious to you. You label what is dark as bad or wrong. You define what you don't understand as something that is threatening to you, instead of opening your heart with curiosity, with intrigue. When you come to find a joyful embrace of what is mysterious, of what is still obscured and hidden, you will find softness emerges, and you will find that your mind starts to rest more, and a deeper way of knowing emerges within you. Instead of figuring out with evidence, with empirical truth, with facts, with things that you can know with just your senses alone, you will start to develop psychic senses, feelings in your body, visions, voices, psychic energy that shows you that there is light even within the darkness, and becomes like a beacon that allows you to walk through the unknown towards your destiny. It is not a destiny that is fixed in the sense that there's only one path that leads you there. It is a destiny that is predetermined in the sense that every future that could ever be your future already exists here and now in the larger framework of reality. Yet you choose between thousands of pathways that exist right now. Which path of your destiny is the path for you? Walking with that trust through the darkness, you need not fear anything that you can't yet see, because you know you're the light. And you know that that feeling of love that exists within you has a magnetic pull towards exactly what is meant for you. And from that point, all you need to know is that you can trust where your heart feels magnetically pulled. Walk towards it on your path. And more information, more truth, more love, more connection will follow, bringing you to exactly where you need to be and serve the world in exactly the way that you need to serve it. Many of you get confused by the ideas that tell you you must give back to the world in a very specific way. Some of these ideas are designed by forces intentionally attempting to limit humanity from experiencing its full potential. You have to trust that you serve the greater good of all by being true to who you are. By being true to who you are, your own gifts on psychic levels, on artistic levels, on intellectual levels will emerge for you to bring into this reality exactly what you are meant to bring. And because it comes through the channel of your own heart and through the frequency of your deepest and purest love, it will awaken that frequency in others. And without even knowing why, sometimes people will come to you into your aura or into the aura of your creation. And they will walk away inspired and touched, and their lives will change. You won't even know the full power of the reach that you've had on others when you live in this way. But you will know through the feeling in your being and the openness of your heart that you're exactly in the right place at the right time, and it couldn't ever be any other way. Well, we thank you for allowing us to share this message with you, and now we ask in return, do you have any questions, comments, musings, or inquiries for us? We would be happy to reflect with you.
Hello.
Hello.
The question is about the difference between free will and fate, right?
Yes.
Our decisions, it feels like they're so small, and at the end there is just this path. It's gonna happen eventually, and the decisions I take consciously, it's not gonna matter that much. Like, I would like to hear your opinion about this.
The decisions you make won't affect your own life or the bigger
The
picture?
destiny, the bigger picture. It's like, it feels like a zero-sum game, the life. Like, if my decision leads to something unpleasant, right? At the end, when I'm out of this unpleasant situation, I will feel happy, I will feel comfortable because I'm out of it. And if the decision leads to a situation that's a pleasant, that's a pleasant memory or something like that, at the end I will feel like the memory has ended and I will suffer. So it's like it balances out, the life balances out itself in a way. So at the end I feel like the decisions are just pointless.
Well, that's a limited way of thinking if you're only considering the contrast. Because there's lessons as well. If you experience something positive, it's a blessing, but there's a lesson too. You learned how to create a positive experience and hold a positive frequency in your being. If you experience something negative, you learned that certain choices, certain ways of approaching a situation create a negative experience, and that allows you to then avoid similar negative experiences if you learn that lesson. And that is why negative experiences have to be used in a positive way if you're really going to grow.
Thanks a lot for the answer.
Yes.
But then the decision's not gonna make a difference. At the end, I will be learning anyways, right? So why do I make a decision? Like, even I'm considering, is it my decision or is it a decision from the higher self?
Yes, it's better if you let your higher self guide you in making the decisions. And the higher self manifests as that feeling in your being that something is right for you. You can feel that at the level of sensation as a knowing in your heart, the openness of the heart, the excitedness of the heart, the aliveness that comes with feeling an alignment with a choice that will have a positive impact for you. And that's what it means to let your higher self choose for you. And if you do that, then ultimately everything will align in a positive situation. But we have to say that sometimes your higher self can guide you to an experience that your mind or your lower self will define as negative. And you need to have those experiences that you define as negative in order to learn lessons. And again, those lessons are about how to avoid such negative experiences. Some of those lessons mean avoiding the red flags in people and situations. And some of those lessons are more about letting go of your own attachment to certain outcomes. Stop insisting that things have to go a certain way. You can see that some of the negative experiences you had weren't so negative, but because you were uncomfortable with certain aspects of it because of beliefs and stories that you had, you experienced something that was neutral in a negative way. And that is also a sort of lesson, to let go more, and to be open, and not let your mind's preconceived notions color everything that you experience.
All right. Thanks for the answer.
Yes.
I have a question about how to say living with an open heart.
Yes.
Where I find that in this society I live in here, the more I open my heart, the more all the pain that society wants to ignore just jumps to me.
Yes, that can happen.
And then I need to then I ultimately end up with coping strategies and that are either dulling pain or running away from it. And I wondered if you had any counsel on this.
When you say that all the pain of the world comes to you, how does that happen?
Well, there's two things. One is just being more aware of all the things that people are ignoring or trying to push away from themselves.
Yeah.
And then noticing that, and then for me, that's a bad habit of taking some of it on me, but also just I also find that also there are a lot of unhappy people who when meeting me in a grounded open state are yes, please let me tell you what's wrong with me, and also please help me.
Yes. People are looking for an open-hearted state. So when you vibrate in an open-hearted way, you become a beacon of light. And like a moth to the flame, many energies will be drawn to you. These are energies that want to release from other people. And sometimes it can feel like a struggle because instead of staying centered in your own experience, you may move from a conditioned place of trying to fix their problems. And you can't actually fix these problems. You can only be an example of what it means to be compassionate and accepting. So staying compassionate with yourself means honoring what happens in your body as people share these energies with you. Staying connected with those sensations and using your breath, perhaps visualizing new waves of light moving through your body to keep you grounded so that you don't start to resonate with their energy and feel what they're feeling for them. Think of it this way. As you open your heart, sometimes people bring you these energies and they feel and find connection because you start to feel what they're feeling. And that gives them a sense of company. Instead, focus on bringing them to feel what you're feeling, bringing them to feel that level of openness. And that can mean, instead of having sympathy and fixing, making suggestions. If I were you in this situation, this is what I would do. I understand that you feel this way, and it's okay to have those feelings. Validating their emotions without believing with them that they are stuck and they are powerless. Oftentimes, when people come with these energies, they are so convinced that they don't have the power to change. And you hear them say this for so long that you start to believe these people don't have the power to change. And that notion of reality is one that makes you feel sad. You start to think that this world is a place of struggle. And while many may struggle, there's also the possibility to be in a state of non-resistance, in a state of flow. The struggle is not because of the restrictive conditions of your world, but it's because the way that you resist these restrictive conditions. You will have to deal with the burden of the world the way that it currently is. But in learning to stay open and go with the flow, the stressors don't have to stay stuck in your body. You might feel stressed out in certain moments and then move back into the state of openness, into the state of flow. So staying connected with yourself and making sure that you don't fix or sympathize, but instead have compassion and support with light and with love will help you stay open. Yet sometimes you still might pick up this energy. Imagine that it's like a charge of static electricity that you develop by rubbing your feet on the ground. Instead of letting this static electricity stay in your body, when you leave the presence of such people, let the charge out and choose to do something that brings you back into that state of openness. That could be breathing, that could be jumping all around, that could be shouting to move the energy out of your body. It could be playing music that you love. It could be going dancing. It could be taking a nap or enjoying nature. But choosing something that brings you back into openness can help you. And recognizing that their energy and their struggle doesn't have to be your own can help you very much as well.
Thank you so much.
Oh, thanks to you as well. And all of you must remember that this is an experience that many of you can have and will have. as you become more empathic, as you become more open, people will be drawn to you. This is what happens when you open to the light. Those, sometimes not even knowing what they're seeking, will gravitate towards you. Don't shun them away, but also don't give them everything. Don't let them have access to all of your energy. Because if you don't protect your heart, it can't stay open. Your heart came to be open because you listened to yourself and you created conditions that made you feel connection, love, and support. Make sure that you maintain those boundaries. Otherwise, your heart will go back into a closed state. It's first of all about having the experience for yourself. Those who can look at you as an example of what it means to be heart open will open their hearts too. Those that simply want to download a bit of energy from you and use it for their own purposes will do that. Don't take either choice personally, but know that if people continually come to you but they don't change, that might not be a wise way of using your energy.
I have a question about compassion. I love when you talk about compassion, and your answer just made me think of, is there an ideal way of utilizing compassion and tapping into it? Because I'm thinking on the one hand it could potentially be used as a tool, almost a defensive tool, or can there be value in sort of almost using it proactively, like seeking situations or people where we can use that situation to tap more into compassion? Can you talk a bit about that and the difference?
Well, true compassion is defensive not in the way that you traditionally use that word, but in the sense that true compassion has to be first a level of compassion for yourself. When you recognize that overgiving of your energy to others in ways that don't feel supported for yourself will not be helpful in general, you prevent yourself from losing energy. By tuning into how every situation makes you feel, you have that compassion for yourself and you can then choose how to work. Though having compassion for others is also something that keeps you from falling into the pattern of judgment. When you understand why they are thinking the way they are thinking and why they are acting the way they are acting, and instead of taking it personally, seeing the patterns of hurt that cause them to perhaps act in ways that are unwise or unhelpful, you will no longer fall into the consciousness of separation, the consciousness of judgment, the consciousness that prevents you from seeing the oneness of all. Sometimes compassion is stronger than others. Sometimes an act of compassion can be reaching your hand out to somebody who's in resistance and pulling them out of that state. Sometimes compassion is fierce in the way that you lay down the truth to somebody who is resistant to hearing it. And this fierce compassion is a sort of self-compassion. It's speaking to that resistance and saying, it's hurting me the way that you're resisting. And therefore, I have to raise my voice to let you know that this isn't okay. And when you set certain boundaries in this way, you have to let go of your attachment as well. If people can't hear this level of fierce compassion, then the next sort of compassion is the compassion that comes from taking space and taking distance from energies that refuse to release their own resistance.
Thank you.
I have a question. When it comes to expressing your own needs, which I think is like speaking my microscopic truth. And then not expecting other person to be a certain way, right?
Yes.
And it comes to like personal relationship. So I feel this way of expressing needs, being heard but not taken, that it's not taken serious. And then I feel like I have pattern of, okay, if, you know, I do the thing, but like, I have this pattern, if I don't care, I really go into not caring. So maybe there's a fear of letting go completely. But then there's like, I have such a hard time finding balance between let's work on something, express my needs, like how much is my part, how much is the other part, and then like again letting go of expecting other person to take their responsibility. So I'm like in all this confusion.
You can let go of your expectations for other people to change, but if then they don't change, you might have to form new expectations. And if after a couple of requests, somebody still cannot be a person that meets your needs, then it's okay to seek meeting your needs from another source. Sometimes that source can be you. Sometimes you don't find someone to meet a certain need because you are the one that's meant to meet that need. And you can validate yourself. Of course, it's always helpful when other people validate you and support you. Yet to a certain extent, there's some needs that only you can meet. So if you've done the work yourself of meeting your needs in the best way possible, and other people around you continue to fail to help you in connecting in a way that is important for you, open yourself up to meet others. Let go. And your absence in certain people's life might be the only motivation for them to change. If talking hasn't made them change, your absence will. And if that doesn't, that person isn't right for you.
Thank you. That's exactly how I see it, like absence and space.
Yes.
In between. Thank you.
Anybody else?
I have a personal question.
All right.
Can I ask that?
Yes.
I am encountered with two people who I could build a life with, but they make different needs. And I'm having a hard time identifying which are the priority needs. And I find it interesting that you need to, what you just said about having to look at what needs you can give yourself. But in a situation like that, what is your thought about being with certain people who satisfy different needs?
Well, we would say pay attention to how your heart feels around these people. Who gives you a feeling of deeper excitement and deeper relaxation? Where does your heart feel more at home? Listen to your heart and not your mind. You might be evaluating these people according to certain judgments as to how they might help you, though the feeling in your body around them is what's more important. Can you trust that?
Thank you.
Yes.
I have a question.
Yes.
It's a little bit strange in a way, but my mother, she died 2 months ago, and the time up to that were pretty tough. But after she died, she has been completely out of my system. I hardly think about her or feel her, or it's just very peculiar in a way. Can you say anything about it?
Did you know that she was going to die?
Yes.
So you grieved while she was alive.
Yes.
You did the process and you consciously let her go.
Mhm.
And so when she went, you let her go.
Mm.
Though you feel guilty a bit because you're comparing it to other experiences of transition that were more dramatic. Most people will have that sort of a deep experience of loss because they didn't accept what was coming or they didn't know it was coming.
Mm.
But you both knew and you accepted. And so that isn't your experience.
Mm.
And you can let that be okay. You don't owe anyone any negative emotions. And that's a weird concept in your world that many of you have to let go of. You're expected to react certain ways when certain things go wrong. Yet ultimately you can have bliss in your system through compassion even when other people don't feel that bliss. By having compassion, you can honor other people are feeling grief, other people are feeling rage, other people are feeling sorrow. And you can understand that that's their feeling and you can love them in spite of it. But you don't owe them the same emotions they're experiencing just because life is tough in that moment for them or for you together.
Mm.
In fact, you serve others more by being light in these situations because it's that lightness and that joy that allow for these challenging emotions of grief to resolve. As your world moves into lighter and brighter phases, the process of grieving won't take as long as it once took. But you have to consciously choose to make things lighter for you in order for that to be the new reality in your world. Can you play with that? Can you accept that?
Yeah, that's really good. Thank you.
And you know your mother's still with you.
Yeah.
And if you want to feel connected with her, call her in.
Mm.
Put her picture on an altar and light a candle. And you'll feel her. And maybe you will feel some sadness, but you will also feel the love in your connection with her. And perhaps more of the sadness comes later. But again, because you knew it was coming and you felt it all in the moment, in your deep presence.
Mm.
It doesn't have to be the same sort of grief that other people go through.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes.
May I ask a question to questionnaire? The person that has raised the question.
If that's acceptable for them.
Depends on the question.
Then it's a paradox. I don't know how you're gonna react without me asking the question, right? So do you still be okay with if I ask the question without?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. You said your mother is out of your system, right? But you still asked the question about your mother. So do you think it's possible that your mother is ever out of your system?
Mm. Yeah, of course, that's my doubt, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I can feel her somehow, but it's not on the surface. And,
Mhm.
and on some levels, I have let go of her completely. Like, I knew she was dying, and I'd released her before that, actually. So, but yeah, there's sadness, but I just can't really, it's very, very, very deep,
Mm-hmm.
far away, so that's a little bit of the confusion about it. Mm.
Alright, now I feel you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
she'll never be out of your system in this way, because you're always connected to those who have come before you, and you're always connected to all that is. So all of the energies you've ever connected with are in your system in that way. But the deep grief is not necessarily consciously present because it doesn't need to be. There's always deeper levels of sadness that you can tap into. And you can go there when it serves you to go there. But in a way you choose. Does it serve you or does it not? It may come in the moments that you make the space for it. And that can serve you as a way of remembering those on the other side and the presence of life that never ends. And that sort of sadness is not something that's the same as the depressing grief that presses on you. It's a sort of soft energy that allows you to know all that exists on the other side are there with you. And it's an energy that can be matched with the celebration of life, if you choose. Some approach healing as a way of going deep. Some approach healing as a way of going high. We say, go inside and listen to what's inside and let the inside carry you outside. You don't need to create an intense level of catharsis to heal. You don't need an ecstatic explosion of joy in order to heal. When you listen to the truth of what is in the moment and you act upon it at points in your journey, when it's necessary, when it's relevant, you will experience intense rapturous joy and ecstasy, and you will experience intense catharsis and a release of deep patterns. Yet the mind attaches to these experiences sometimes and says, this healed me, therefore let's repeat this experience and heal more. And instead you get people who continuously repeat the loop of catharsis after catharsis, of ecstatic explosion after ecstatic explosion. And these experiences, while they might feel good at first, eventually create a static charge in your system. They create an attachment to an experience rather than a natural allowing of what is. Do not seek a repeat of those experiences. Instead, listen deeply to your heart, and your heart will guide you. You will have those experiences again when they're necessary, when they're relevant. If you're not having them and you try to force them, it's like pushing in energies that don't necessarily need to be there. Do you get what we're saying? Some of you do, and some of you don't. That's okay.
I had a thought during the last few questions about, and also my first question about how it feels like sometimes humans feel this need in order for like an emotion to be understood, it needs to be like completely transferred to the other person who also needs to hold it completely.
Yes.
And I feel like that thought and the thing you say about catharsis is like, what you're saying is more like, no, the compassionate thing is to hold each other, like see each other, but like sort of compassionately hold people a little bit distant so you don't get completely flooded by their emotions and allow them to do the healing.
Yes. Healing is creating a vibration that allows others to heal themselves. Healers offer a vibration to others of what a healed state is. those who choose to attune to that state will do so. And those who choose to maintain their attunement to that state will heal. But you can't force another person to heal. So what you're saying is very valid, that there are some people who assume that communication means if I'm feeling sadness, you must feel my sadness in order for us to relate and for you to understand me. But that sort of relationship is inherently a bit codependent, in that there is a deep need for others to match the exact vibration in order for a connection to form. But ultimately, that's an expression of what you say in your world when you say, misery loves company.
Can I ask you, in connection with that, what you think of in therapy? Well, what you think about therapy in general, I'm curious about. But then also, do you think you can start at the level of, like you said earlier, also like to be an example of light and embodiment, and then that would serve other people better than to go into their misery? But do you think you can start from that point of showing them this frequency that they can tune into if they want to? Or do you think it is necessary to go really deep into a lot of the things that they perceive as darkness and struggle in their lives in order to move to that point?
It's necessary to explore it until it's no longer necessary. And explore is different than understand. Let's put it to you that way. When you explore it, you will fully understand it. Though the issue with some therapies in your world is that it is a very intellectual process.
Yeah.
And you talk about the problems without experiencing the emotions connected with them. You start to develop a story of why you are the person who behaves the way you behave. You understand this so clearly, yet because you don't go into the somatic level of release, you continue to play the loop of the person who behaves the way that they behave because of the trauma that happened. And sometimes this becomes even more self-destructive because you start to accept and identify with the story of the person who behaves a specific way because of the trauma that happened. And then you start to explain to everyone, I am a person who behaves this specific way because of the trauma that happened. And then everyone else starts to think they are a person who behaves a specific way because of the trauma that happened. And then your whole life becomes a story of you behaving a specific way because of specific traumas that happened with specific people who experienced the similar traumas, and then no one heals. So you can keep doing that, or you can actually go into the somatic release. And you do this through processes like regression therapies, like inner child work, like parts work, like IFS as a specific modality of parts work. You do this when you feel the emotions deeply and you allow yourself to be present with them and release them. And instead of identifying with them, you hold love and compassion for them and allow yourself to be open to things being a different way, things feeling a different way, and behaving a different way. So it becomes a process that's experienced more within the body rather than a story that is told in the mind. Instead of just understanding that experiences caused you to behave a certain way, you re-experience those experiences through your body with compassion, so that those emotions that have been pressed into your subconscious actually lift from your system and liberate from your system. And some of the work of balancing yourself and taking care of your body is something that only you can do in your own practice. but the work of going into these emotions and being witnessed in a compassionate way in order to release them is something that you can only do in relationship. And that is why we do love the idea of therapy. And we don't say that any therapy is wrong, but we say that you as humans are generally learning how to do it better.
Thank you.
Yes. Any last questions?
Then I have a small one.
Yes.
Well, normally I'm very healthy and I have a good body, but for the last year my back has been really bad, and I really don't know why, and there's nothing actually wrong with it. Can you say anything about it?
Do you have the support you need?
Well, it depends what that is.
Low back pain, yes? Is that the area?
Yes.
It's connected with not feeling supported by others, not feeling supported by the tribe. So you might have been around a lot of people as you're a very social person, but we sense that you're not necessarily asking for what you need from all of these people. Many people see you as the daddy, but daddy still has needs too.
Yeah, well, I think I do it, but I could probably be better.
Yes. You do it, but do you let in that support?
If I let it in.
Yes.
Yeah, it's probably difficult.
Why?
Well, a deep sense somewhere about unworthiness, I think.
Yes. So, what would it mean to recognize that you are worthy inherently? Don't think of it as a personal thing. Consider it out of the sheer fact that you exist. All beings are worthy of love. All beings are worthy of connection. All beings are worthy of joy. Why would it be any other way? What do you say to that?
Yeah, that's true.
So why is it different for you? Why are you the exception to the rule?
I just am.
All right. Is that serving you?
No.
Then can you choose to see yourself a different way?
Yeah, I would love to.
It's practice.
It's practice.
It's practice every day to see yourself as more worthy, to accept that you deserve connection and love, to embrace the support, and to ask for it, but also to recognize if you ask for a massage and they're not doing it right, you're not getting anything from it. So you have to say, press a little bit harder if you need them to press a little bit harder. You need to say, press a little bit softer if they're about to break your back. Otherwise, you'll end up in the hospital. So asking for support doesn't just mean saying, I'm sad, help me. It's saying, I recognize I'm sad and I need help in this specific way. And it means also if the people around you aren't helping you meet that need, that you find people that will.
Yes.
Can you play with that?
Yes.
All right. Will you?
Yeah, I will do my best.
All right. Then we think that things will change for you. thanks to you as well.
I'm confused.
All right.
In the beginning, I was relaxed, and all these Christians are making me confused. Like, I'm supposed to have a Christian as well. I know I have Christians. Like, in 10 minutes from now, when we're out of here, I have thousands of Christians. So,
All right.
it's like, there's so many different states of experiencing this world for me, and my go-to, is it? I guess for now I made my own rule that my go-to is to feel relaxation in my body, not tense, but the opposite of feeling tense. Well, that was not even my question, because my question was actually this thing about when you ask for something. That can make me confused because my will, and then I need to figure out, I think, who am I? This I, because if I ask for something, then my will, I'm afraid that it can lead me way worse than I'm already are. So for me to ask my will, that can be really dangerous, because then I'm so confused about, I need to figure out who I am first, or where my identification is, because I'm afraid that if my I is just expressing a need I think I have, then I'm just evolving through like a path that's not serving the real path. Oh, yes.
Why don't you trust yourself?
Because this thing about yourself is making me confused, because I have different experiences about who I am.
Yes.
And I really don't know what experience to rely on. It's like they're just different experiences.
Yes.
I don't trust one more than the other sometimes, and then I'm confused.
You are a being of light, yet as a being of light, you have many different beliefs. These many beliefs come from all of the experiences, and sometimes your beliefs contradict each other. Sometimes one belief tries to dominate the situation and succeeds at doing so, yet as soon as it's finished and fulfilled what it wanted to do, a new belief takes over and wants to do something completely different, shaming you for the very thing that the first belief thought was such a great idea. And this is why you're confused. This is why so many of you experience confusion. You don't yet accept that all of the different ideas and experiences that you have sometimes contradict each other and sometimes are in conflict with each other. So instead of considering the fact that you are just an individual being having a singular experience, honor the many different parts of your mind, and that they're all sometimes pulling you in different directions. In this way, one of the most important aspects of healing is coming to honor the complexity of who you are, and knowing that, yes, I might not always agree with the decisions I make, because I'm not just one being. I'm many ideas working through me at once. Allowing peace to be experienced between the seeming contradictions will help you. First of all, you have to accept that you're much bigger than you thought. And instead of concluding and jumping to one singular idea that this is who I am, accept that you are multitudes, accept that you are many, accept that you are everything you've experienced. Some of it good, some of it not so pleasant. And accepting this and embracing this will allow you to stop resisting who you feel that you are in the moment, to be fully present with who you are in the moment, and not try to change yourself. Does any of that make sense?
Doesn't really make sense, but it makes me feel more relaxed.
Yes. Being at peace with the contradictions within yourself. Accepting that you might be without a conclusion. Instead of identifying just with who you want to be, accept everything that you are. You humans have a tendency to attempt to create a very strong identity. Identity is the same as ego. It is helpful for you to have a positive ego, but it is not helpful for you to create such a hard ego that doesn't accept parts of you that exist. So we want you to open, expand, and soften all at the same time what you consider identity. You are more than you are allowing yourself to be. You are bigger than you're allowing yourself to be. You are more complex than you're allowing yourself to be. Does that help you?
Yes.
You're trying to be perfect for many people. And in doing so, you're not being kind with yourself. Focus less on who you are to others and focus more on being kind with yourself. Allow yourself to be bigger. Allow yourself up to take more space. Allow yourself to be more complex. Allow yourself to make more mistakes. Does that help you?
Makes me confused and almost cry at the same time.
It's okay to be confused. Again, confusion is the understanding that there is contradiction. And moving beyond confusion is embracing paradox. This and its opposite can be true. And you can have one part within you that has a different intention than another part within you. One belief system wants you to relax and be a very relaxed person. Another belief system does not want you to behave in that way. It's more relaxing to acknowledge the part of you that's preventing you from relaxing than to deny it. You see? Anything else?
I might have a question about anger.
All right.
Because I was never allowed and I never actually, I would say I'm never angry. I don't know how to be angry. And then I have this part of me then when I'm frustrated or something is not in the way, I'm like, I don't want to keep anger in me, but it must go somewhere. So it really confuses me, like, I know that I never was allowed to express it, and I think that now as an adult, I don't even know how to be angry, but then when I try, then I think, oh, it's stupid to not talk or to say something or to raise voice or to, so I'm like, I would maybe appreciate some word on anger and how to hold it. how to allow it.
You can express anger in a soft way. Anger doesn't have to yell. It simply has to acknowledge that it's angry. So you actually have the power already to say, this is making me really angry, with a totally calm voice. But first of all, you have to accept yourself that you're angry. So one of the first steps in this process might be journaling about your anger and making peace with the fact that it exists. Anger is necessary sometimes because it helps you to express your boundaries. It helps you to define where you end and others begin. It helps you to be clear about what you want and what you don't. But it doesn't have to be loud. And you may be afraid of anger because anger was used in explosive and destructive ways around you. Sometimes this hurt you. But you already have the power to use anger in soft and constructive ways. So don't be afraid of that. Accept and embrace that you have that power. Write about your anger. Turn your anger into music. Turn it into art. Turn it into dance. Let yourself use it as something creative. And then when it comes time to express it in conversation, take a few deep breaths first and say, I'm feeling angry, and say what you need to say.
Thank you, because I'm not allowing myself to be angry, but then I also had a pattern of not allowing others around me to be angry. I would always jump in and try to avoid any conflict or anger because I couldn't even hold. Now I'm getting better at allowing others to be angry and trying to figure out my relationship with anger.
Yes.
Oh, thank you.
Our thanks to you as well. And our thanks to all of you for co-creating this interaction, for being present, for being awake and alert and receptive to this information. We hope that it carries with you and that you remember that you are powerful beings of love and light, and that you are complex beings that hold within you the polarity that is inherent in this world. Acknowledge the polarity and go beyond it at the same time. You've come here to experience it, and you will not go entirely beyond polarity in this incarnation, for it is impossible. Embrace your complexities. Embrace your feelings. Embrace all of who you are. It is when you drop resistance to the darkness that you will fully step into the light. It is when you accept the darkness that your light will go up to new levels of brightness. Stepping and living in your heart continuously is possible. And again, when you do it, synchronicity will guide you on your path. You only need to stay attuned to what feels right in your heart, what feels opening, softening, clarifying in your heart. And staying in that state is possible when you pay attention to all of the unique choices that you've made that have allowed you to be in that state in the first place. Your own path is your unique path, but knowing what causes you to stay in your open-hearted state will allow you to be a guide to others to find their open-hearted state. They can't do it the same way that you've done it, but you can be an example. You can be an expression of a frequency and a vibration that they can attune to if they choose. And doing this continually will change your life for the better. You need not attune to the frequency and vibration of the world around you, for you have come here to change the world you live in by being a new example of a clearer frequency energy. We thank you for choosing this reality and for choosing to co-create with us in this way, and we wish to connect with you in other ways whenever you would like to connect with us, calling in your spirit guides, calling in your higher self, and bringing this frequency into your being is possible in any moment if you choose to do so. Our great thanks to you, and I wish you a fantastic rest of your day then.
Thank you.